So today I'm just going to talk about a few things that I got and show you what I've actually accomplished putting up these new decorations that are Corvette themed. I've changed a couple of the walls. The main wall where I sit always had McLaren up, and I thought it's time for that to go because with the Corvette, that's going to be the main theme. The process of planning out and getting ready to change my wall art. There's no sense in keeping the McLaren up as the main feature in my little sitting area here because I've got the Corvette. I'm not going to get a McLaren ever. It was in my brainwaves for many years that I thought I'd get a used one. There's no way I could ever afford a new one. Even a used one would be a little tight. So anyhow, I'm going to change the walls out, and I'll have some Corvette stuff hanging up. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention, that the connection with the C6 is not really the full car. I am going to do something with the C6, but it's only the rear valence bumper cover. I'm getting one of those. So unfortunately, it's not the whole car. Yeah, I'm going to put a controller in my mechanical room that can control the lights. So I'm going to have brake lights, directionals, reverse. I think it'll be pretty neat. And I have a few more things on the wall besides that rear valence. So with the bumper cover, I had to, come up with a good support system for it because it's, it's hanging up, it's hanging up over your heads where you sit. So I don't want that to come down. And then I ran some preliminary wiring across the ceiling and that, and down into my little room where I was going to be able to control the lights. So cleaned up the back side of the bumper. So anyhow, the one thing about it when I made the supports, I wanted to make sure that you could see the taillights really well. I mean, if you have that bumper cover up by your ceiling, my ceilings are about 9.5 feet, then if it's completely vertical, you're not going to see the lights that well. So I got mine tilted about 13 inches off the vertical. So it's angled down to a degree where you can really see the lights very nicely. On the main wall, where I usually sit, that's where I got the Corvette stuff. I'm not done. I got 3 pictures I want to still hang. But at the very top is the C6 bumper. It's the valence off of C6. And it's kind of cool because the emblem says 60 years. So again, this was an anniversary car. It was a Grand Sport convertible, and it's just kind of cool. And then below that, a couple of photo steels. There's a Stingray logo, and then below that, I really like it. It's the 8 generations, and it's all on one piece of metal, heavy metal, and the colors are very vibrant. I've seen this in poster form, and it doesn't look as nice as it does on this piece of steel. The colors are more vibrant, and it looks really nice. The piece itself is heavy, and it's done very nice. And then I found a guy that does these wire type cars, and I got a couple of small ones of the Corvette. I've got these waterfalls. I got 2 of them, and they came out of the salvage yard also. But if you notice, they have the emblems with 100 years on it. So this came out of a 2012 Corvette. I don't know why it wouldn't have been a 2011, because I think it was 1911 when Chevrolet was formed. But in any event, I thought it was pretty cool. You don't see that every day. I got it from the same salvage yard as I did for the bumper skin. So I thought, these look pretty nice. They look like they're like brand new, no scratches, and they just kind of fit the Corvette theme for me. So I've got a bumper skin with 60 years, and I got the two waterfalls with 100 years on the emblems, and it kind of all goes together. I kind of like it. Even the bumper skin, for me, it kind of matched the wall. It's not really that obnoxious standing out, and I just kind of like the looks of it. I got that C6 rear bumper valance and the waterfalls from a salvage yard in Nebraska. Well, the bumper covers, I mean, I've seen a bunch of them on eBay and they usually, they're kind of stripped down because salvage yards get them. They take the taillights out, they take all that stuff out, the emblems. They sell that separately. A guy, in most cases, just wants a bumper cover because something happened to his bumper cover, and he'll grab one, and then if it's in good shape, just get it painted to match his car. Well, in this case, this bumper cover had all the tail lights. It had the reverse lights, and it had the wiring. I mean, not the control of the wiring or anything, but just the wiring from socket to socket. So I struck up a deal with the guy and got both waterfalls and the rear bumper cover. So I'll show you a little bit of what I did, because I actually can power up the tail lights and directionals and brake lights now. I have a sequence that I developed. It was another wall, a side wall, I never did anything with. It was just painted white, didn't have anything on it. Now I've got some Corvette stuff there and McLaren stuff underneath it. And then my far wall, it was a big wall. I had put a mural up. It was white. I'd never finished it. Couldn't get my wife to help me to finish it up, so it just left it. So we got another mural, and this time we completed it, and it looks a lot better. So I'll show you around. This wall, I'm going to have a little bit more Corvette stuff over here near the top, and the bottom half I'm still going to put a couple of pieces of McLaren stuff up. I still like the car. Those two pictures of the 570 canvas pictures that were over on the other wall, I'm going to hang over there. We're going to prep this wall, take the wallpaper off, prep this wall for repainting, and put up a new mural, and so kind of redecorate the walls a little bit. So here's the one sidewall that I redid. Painted it the sort of the dark blue-gray that some of the other walls are painted. Found at the top here, found some Corvette letters that were in metal, and then I spray painted them black. Below the Corvette lettering is the silhouette of the Corvette. It was a vinyl transfer, and was able to get that in yellow. And then the Z51 here, that's a photo steel, and the flags are also photo steel. I got those because it had the 70 in it, and of course that's kind of neat because my car is the 23, so that was kind of nice. And then there's just a canvas picture of a Corvette, and that's flanked by two of the Jake skulls with C8 on them. So below that then is the two McLaren pictures that I transferred from the other wall, and I had to have them. I still like them. So that's kind of like that wall is done. Most of the stuff that I acquired, like the vinyl transfer stuff, the photo seal stuff, pretty much everything except the bumper skin and the waterfalls Most of it came from Etsy. I had never ordered from Etsy before, and they have quite a selection of merchandise. So that's where I got most of my stuff. So then the other wall that had the white mural on it, changed that to a cityscape, sort of a dusky nighttime type thing. Must have been taken with a helicopter or something. But I found it very interesting. There's a lot of interest in the buildings. And kind of below that where it ended, I just added some fake greenery and it kind of finished off the wall. So that was the mural wall. This control cabinet that I set up to control the lights, I basically just took stuff that I had on hand. The only thing I bought was this logic control board from Gaelic Electronics. Actually, it's a control board for traffic signals. So it has 6 outputs, and basically if you had traffic lights it would be red, yellow, green, and you would have another set up here for the same thing. So I thought I could use this as the logic for my control. Right now you're seeing all the brake lights on. Now you're seeing the left flasher go with the brake lights. Now just the reverse lights. Now we have the right flasher going without brake lights, and now we revert back to all brake lights. And now we're in our defaults section, which is just the tail lights that are on. Now, like I said, I had all these relays. These are called PAM relays, P-A-M. So this power board, this logic board needs to be powered with 110 volts. The outputs are all 110 volts. So I needed relays to relay 110 to 12 volts. So I took these 110 outputs, applied it to the coil voltage of the PAM relay at 110. And these dry set of contacts, there's a normally open and a normally closed dry set of contacts on each PAM. I use that to circulate the 12 volt DC. Right now I'm just using a car battery to supply the 12 volt DC because the little power packs that I had for 12 volt DC weren't enough, didn't have enough ampacity to power everything that I wanted to do. So I got a more beefier power pack coming, and that'll sit right here in the cabinet. These two are automotive flashers. They are what flash my left and right directionals. They were just a couple of 512s I think I had laying around from working on old cars. And this is a dual time relay. It has a delay off, delay on. I use this so I can time my tail lights with a much more on than the sequencing. I'd rather have the tail lights on. They're not that bright. The sequencing on the brake lights and the reverse lights are quite bright, so I don't want that being a long duration. But every few minutes after the taillights are on, we'll go into the sequencing for 20, 30 seconds or whatever it is. This is my 110 coming in. I usually use RF outlets, which this one is. That way I can control it from my wherever I am in the barn, because I have all of the RF outlets controlled on a little hand controller, and I can program each one in. So then I got a switch at the exit of the doorway to leave the garage. All I have to do is hit that switch, all the lights go off, all the outlets go off, everything that I want and programmed in. So you might see the blue flashing light there. So I don't want to get into too much more detail. If you got any questions, you can just leave a comment. So guys, I guess that's all I've got for today. The end part here, I'll show you the sequencing of the bumper and show you how the lights work. Okay, I'll talk to you later. First sequence is the brake lights. Next one is left directional with brake lights. Next is reverse lights. Next is right directional without brake lights, then full brake lights, then tail lights. Tail lights is basically my default method. I'll have those on the longest. The sequencing of the other lights will be a lot faster.